this video, I'm going to cover the W209 AMG models, including both the CLK55 and 63. The W209 CLK55 was introduced in 2003. It replaced the W208 CLK55 while carrying over a very similar engine and 5-speed transmission. The compression ratio of the M113 engine was increased, helping to put out 362 horsepower in this model, a few more than the older W208. The lack of a B-pillar in the design of the car gave the two-door, four-seat CLK a distinctive look. And this car was used as the safety car in the 2003 F1 season. While the W209 brought in fresh styling, it was still old school in many ways. The body panels were still almost all made of steel, while other Mercedes at the time, such as the W211, had a lot more aluminum panels. The W209 actually used a lot of C-Class architecture, but was priced in the Mercedes lineup like an E-Class. The CLK55 started at over $70,000 US, and the convertible model started at over $80,000, so they were very closely priced to the much more powerful E55 AMG. And that power gap to the E-Class was closed with the 63 models. Now here's what you need to know when buying an AMG CLK. Starting with the differences between the model years, I'm going to be looking at the North American market, but the changes were mostly the same worldwide. The 2004 CLK55 was basically unchanged from the 03 model. For 2005 there were a lot of changes. The brakes were upgraded to have 6 piston calipers up front and 4 piston in the back. The front discs were upgraded with better 2-piece units. The wheels were bigger for 2005, now 18-inch. The suspension was updated with a lower ride height, and the steering had a tighter ratio. The rear differential was now fitted with cooling fins. If you got the coupe version, the exhaust system now split to quad tips, which we first saw on the safety car. The convertibles kept the dual-tip exhaust due to their different floor design. Inside, the climate controls and command screen were updated for 2005. The gauge cluster was also changed to indicate up to 200 miles an hour. Under the hood, a nicer engine cover was fitted. For 2006, the facelift was introduced with a new front bumper, front grille, and different taillights. Updated headlights came later that year. Inside, the shift lever was updated and the center console now had a sliding lid. A key change for 2006 is that the CLK55 Coupe was no longer offered. It was only convertible now in North America. For 2007, the CLK63 was introduced with an all-new M156 engine. Power rose to 475 horsepower, so 113 more than the 55. The transmission was changed to a faster 7-speed. With 63 power, this was one of the fastest convertibles available at the time. With the 63, the brakes were also upgraded to bigger 14.2-inch discs up front. The 63 got different shocks, stiffer springs, and bigger sway bars. Also on the 63, they removed the spare tire and just gave you a repair kit. The exterior of the car was updated with a more aggressive front bumper with vents on the sides, which did help to extract air from the oil cooler on the passenger side. The wheels were also updated to a 5-spoke design. Inside, the seats were changed to have a horizontal stitch pattern, and the gauge cluster now had black dials. The updated steering wheel now had shift paddles instead of buttons. While the CLK63 Coupe was sold in the rest of the world, only the convertible was brought to North America at a base price of $93,000. Essentially, the 63 is considerably faster compared to the 55, it's rarer, and it's a little better to drive. However, they will cost a bit more to run, as the M156 engine is not quite as reliable as the M113 engine, but that is a small price to pay for so much extra power. Total production for the CLK55 was 2,893 coupes and 2,711 convertibles. Total production for the CLK63 was 1,181 coupes and 1,119 convertibles. Now moving on to the optional extras of the W209 AMGs, They include the lighting package, which added xenon headlights. You could get a keyless go system with push-button start. You could also get parking sensors. Another option was ventilated seats. The command navigation screen was optional. You could get a CD changer, and you could also get a power trunk lid. Earlier years, including 03 and 04, had available Distronic radar-guided cruise control, and hardtop models had an optional power rear sunshade. And of course, there were various paint, leather, and trim options. In terms of reliability, these CLKs are pretty solid. They didn't adopt many of the advanced systems for this time, such as hydraulic suspension or brake-by-wire, so these CLKs are pretty basic cars. The 2003 CLK models did have a defective radiator, as outlined in this bulletin, but most of those cars should have the radiators replaced by now. With the M113 engine in the 55, you are looking for common oil leaks around the valve covers and sometimes around the rear main seal. With the M156 engine, there are more things to look at, such as camshaft wear, cam adjuster noise, and corrosion on the head bolts, leading to problems. These are all issues that will be much more likely on an example with higher mileage. The transmissions are pretty reliable in these cars and may require a conductor plate to be replaced at some point, which is not super hard to do. Fluid services should be done every 40,000 miles. A fuel center can potentially leak and cause a fuel smell and require replacement. This was the case on my CLK63. Otherwise, wear and tear items should be taken care of if needed, such as suspension control arm bushings or engine and transmission mounts. The convertible models, especially the earlier ones, can have problems with leaking hydraulic cylinders for the power top, but it's still a generally good top design, and there are companies out there that specialize in hydraulic top parts at more reasonable prices. But other than those few things, the W209 is still a pretty simple, small car, so it should be very reasonable to own and maintain, especially compared to other Mercedes around this time. Looking at the market for these cars on the low end, high mileage CLK55s can be had for less than $10,000 US, while the best examples out there go up to about $30,000. With the CLK63s, they start around $20,000 US for one with higher mileage, and prices go up to around $40,000 for the best examples with low mileage. My favorites in the range are the CLK63, but I do like the 2005 55 coupes, as they got a bunch of updates that we saw earlier, and it was only for 1 year. Hopefully, this video provided some useful information on the W209 AMGs. Anyways, thanks for watching, and subscribe for more videos like this one.